is that? Oh my God, what is that? Oh my God!
And if you found this recording, you have to share it, or it'll be after you too.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Voices from the Mausoleum, and welcome to the episode of Found Footage Fridays, a series where we talk about found footage on a Friday with my co-host, Mike and Serial.
Hey y'all, happy Found Footage Fridays. Hope you're having a great Friday. Hope it's even better now that you're listening to us.
All right. So when last we met, we talked about The Decedent, which was a 2025 newer release. This week, we are also talking a newer release. Does this have a 2025 date? It did, right? Yep. Okay, I'm not
Yeah,
crazy.
I
All right.
think this was also like November-ish
It was
too.
the end of the year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. So the movie we are talking in this episode is Fey, Fey. You can find this on Found TV. That's where I watched it. You can watch it for free with ads, or if you're subscribed to it, they no ads, and you still get 10% off if you use keyword voices at checkout. So you get 10% off the annual subscription, which is every little bit counts. So the description for Faye is in the final phase of a trauma study, Maddie films her first nights alone since the incident, but as she records, the feeling of being watched returns. Bam, bam, bam. All right, non-spoiled thoughts. Where we at?
Non-spoiled thoughts. I enjoyed this one. There's a lot that I did like about it, but
Okay. Yep.
there was a lot that I struggled with. I understood why they made certain decisions, but I think redacting so much information on a very
Yeah.
information-based movie
Mm-hmm.
is putting a
Yeah.
lot of work on your viewer.
Mm-hmm.
I do think for my personal taste, that was a bad call. I do understand the reasoning.
Mm-hmm.
It did feel a little bit more real in that aspect, but
Sure.
man, I felt like I unless it is told that this is a whodunit slasher, I'm not trying to piece puzzles together. I
Yeah. Yeah. Um, you know why I'm like really let down by this one? Because
Did
I
you
thought
think
it
it
was
was
going to be
scary?
about actual Faye. The idea, okay, of there being a found footage movie. How many have you ever seen those clips where people are like, I caught a fairy on my webcam, or not my webcam, my ring cam, or I was so down for the idea of a horror fairy found footage movie. Okay. Because when I watch these, when we pick them, I go based off poster, I go based off because you said we should watch it. I don't a lot of times I don't watch trailers, I don't read about them. I knew nothing about this, or I probably would not have picked this one, honestly, to cover at all. Because the title, I was like, oh, okay. So imagine my dismay when there are no winged creatures or nefarious sprites hanging out. So I was pretty really. It was very difficult to get past that because the name Fae ends up having a meaning, which I guess we'll get to a little bit later, and I'm fine with that. Okay, fine, but I'm just saying it's misleading, and it was very disappointing. And then it made it hard for me to like not be mad while I was watching the movie. So aside from that, my unspoiled thoughts are I was not a big fan of this one in case it hasn't been super apparent. And not just because it wasn't about fairies. I think that typically is that spoiler? Let me think. I'm gonna hold off on that thought just in case people feel it's spoily. I don't want to like do that to people.
Yeah.
So I will hold off on that. Let me just say that I think the direction this movie goes felt too familiar and felt like it lacked ingenuity. I didn't think that I kind of struggled with the reason we were recording. I know that we're given a reason, but I don't know that that reason works. And so there were things about this that just like I was never unsettled. I was never bothered. I was never like, "Oh no," not once this whole film. And I just struggled with it. I didn't think that it went anywhere that made me like excited to see what was around the next corner. It's also like it feels, because you don't get a lot of information, it feels shorter than it actually is, which is a weird thing to say. I know, just stay with me. But it's one of those things where you're just like, "Oh, okay, that was it." And then it's like over. And so I struggled with that part as well.
And that's saying something, viewers, because this movie is short. I want to say this is 53-ish
It's
minutes.
less than an hour. Yeah.
It's less than
But
an
it felt
hour.
shorter than that.
And we'll talk about it more. I have a very like hard disagree on certain things
Mhm.
with what you just said too.
Mhm.
Like I again the redacted thing. Again, I don't think they should have done that, or at
Mhm.
least as much as they did. Um,
Mhm.
but and we'll get into it in spoilers, but I do think that their reasoning for having the cam, for me, I'm like, that was good enough because we know that that actually happens in certain things like that.
Sure. I think that the things that they do are done in other movies. I just think they're done better and more believable. And they're done at a level where you're like, yeah, okay. Like the movie Puzzle Box, which I loved, was there was a reason for that. She was like, she had to, well, this is, well, I don't want to say too much about that one because that's not what we're here for. But I really liked what that one had to say. And it was another one like this, where it was like, oh, we're getting over something. So we're recording. And this just felt forced, and there was a lot in it. I just, like I said, I felt like it lacks ingenuity. It didn't feel very unique or different to me, and I just get really bogged down with found footage movies that don't like bring anything new to the table. And I just felt like this didn't do that. So I wasn't very impressed with this one. If it had been fairies, though, it would have been a 10 out of 10 for sure. I have certain things that I just naturally are like, yeah, and fairies apparently are one of them, which I didn't know until I saw the title for this movie, but we're not. Anyway, we're moving on. What do you rate this one?
I am gonna give this one a 6 out of 10 tapes.
6 out of 10 tapes.
Yeah.
Okay. I am not gonna give it 6 out of 10 tapes. I would give this a 1.5 tape out of 10 tapes. I, um, I was not moved by this one by any stretch of the imagination, so I was just bummed. I wanted it to be, once I got past what it was actually about, I just wanted more, and I'll say more specifically about the overall theme when we get to, well, I'm about to put the banner up. Spoilers ahead. But yeah, so um I would like to start with the fact that this is a very basic cookie cutter cult story. So, I would not ever tell you that cults are not scary. We are literally living around one every day on the news right now. So, I would say if you're going to bring cults into horror, I really need something different. And I just didn't feel like this. It was kind of like it teeter-tottered back and forth about like how far it wanted to go, what was the purpose of this. And I guess maybe that's part of what you're talking about with like the information lost in translation kind of
Yeah.
thing, where you're like not getting the whole story. But cults are very scary. Found footage cults absolutely work. We've seen several that do that. But this one felt very under what's the word? Under seasoned. I don't know how else to put it, but it was just, okay, cool, cult. Okay, breeding rituals. All right, I guess. I don't know. I just wasn't moved by the story. I'm having a hard time putting it into words, which is wild because I've had literally weeks to think about it, but I think I just didn't want to think about it, so I didn't. And so now I'm like struggling to like put into words, but it just felt like we were handed the word cult and not anything around it to make it feel more urgent than it was, because she's being tormented by this cult essentially that her mother was a member of. And there's this whole thing with like the fae being these fated people who like, and I got all of that. Like I was like, okay, sure, whatever. But I don't know, I just felt like if you're gonna do cult, you have to take it somewhere different. You just have to. And I don't feel like this did.
I think it's hard to take cult different, to be honest, because I feel like even ones that we really do enjoy,
Yeah.
they're not unique from
Yeah.
a cult standpoint. I don't think, especially in found footage, I don't think
Yeah.
there's that many unique cult movies. I would say the closest we got was Strange Harvest,
Yep.
and even that, it ended up not being that unique because what was making it unique ended up not being. So,
Well, yeah, and I would say with Strange Harvest being the example of this cultish kind of whatever, the things that they added to elevate it though were the murder scenes. They were like we saw nothing. We saw there's no like there's nothing in this as far as like rituals and like we hear about them. We don't see anything as far as that goes. The whole movie. It's just her walking around the house being freaked out.
and I think, well, that's kind of what I alluded to earlier was,
Yeah.
for me, the
Mhm.
downfall, because if I would have got more information,
Mhm.
I think this would have been a higher mark for me. I think, like you said, this is a movie that is all about they're giving you information, you're reading articles, you're hearing phone conversations, like you're getting
Yeah.
all of this stuff, but yet they're redacting half the information as you're getting it. So
Yeah.
you have to make these connections yourself, which
Yep.
I could see some people really enjoying that.
Yeah, I know that's not your
I
jam though.
I was not there for that part.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I do think so. She went through a very traumatic event.
Mhm.
Again, they don't explicitly say it's up to you to decide what
Figure
that event is,
yeah.
but she's in the final part of uh, this therapeutic case study thing that she's a part of.
Mhm.
And that's why to me it made sense for the recording. Like I had no issue with the recording because they are doing a case study. They are trying to they she needs to be recorded the entire time.
Sure.
Perfect. Again, with what you said, unique? No. But for me, cool. That's the
Yeah.
information I needed for that part. Now let's go. I also felt different than you in the feeling uneasy, unnerved, because there was a moment, and maybe it's because I wasn't fully focused at the time,
Mhm.
but as I'm watching it, like something I thought like I had a smudge on my TV, and then all of a sudden I'm looking and there's just like this creepiness of one person showed up, then another, and then
Oh, yeah.
another,
Yeah.
and that freaked me out when I was
Mm.
watching it. Again, it mostly because, like, I don't think I was paying attention to it,
Mhm.
and that's why it surprised me,
Mhm.
but I thought that was really creepy, and they did that more than once.
Yep.
I enjoyed the pacing of this movie. I do think it went pretty quick, but
Yeah.
not for me, not in a bad way. I love that they started off very quickly. Like this was not your typical found footage formula.
Yeah.
I love that they put something in the front part of the movie and then they're like 5 months earlier. And now I'm like, okay, now my
Yeah.
anticipation is to get to this point,
To see
the
what happens.
beginning.
Yeah.
And I feel like every step of the way, they made me interested in it. I really enjoyed the side character, the
The
woman who's
caseworker.
the caseworker. Like I loved her.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I thought the acting I think everybody brought their A game for the acting. I had no issues with it whatsoever.
Yeah.
For me, the only issue, and viewers, you have heard me on other episodes, I don't always want to be intellectually challenged when I'm watching movies,
Well
especially
said.
when it comes to horror. I
Yeah.
don't. You'll find me on page 5 of Tubi watching the most ridiculous stuff, and I'm having a blast. Give me some
Yeah, yeah.
Velocipaster. I don't
Yeah.
need the super like, oh, think about this and look at this deep meaning under the deep meaning under the deep meaning. I don't need all that spoon feed it to me. I know so
Yeah.
many people don't love that. They don't want to be spoon fed. That is great for y'all. That is not me.
Yeah.
Um, and I
Yeah.
needed this movie to spoon feed me a little bit more.
Yeah. I get it.
It was a coolish concept in theory, but like I said, you're going to have the target audience that's going to be
Yep.
like, yeah, I enjoyed that. I love,
Yep. Sure.
my favorite game is Clue, so I love doing this movie. And that just wasn't me.
My
But
favorite
I
game is
liked
Clue.
I liked the movie. I did not like the redaction of information.
Okay. I ugh, I got two other things I'm gonna complain about. Why was the caseworker recording her phone conversations with her boss? What's that for? And then like her recording at the house I get because she's documenting this other person. But like, why is she just chilling in the car with her camera on herself recording this conversation with her not super nice and did not sound qualified to be doing a case study on anybody boss. And then I was thinking oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was
I'll
gonna
go to
say,
my explanation.
I think because she had, I mean, could have easily been she could have turned it off, but I
Sure.
think she had everything recording because she was with her.
So she just didn't turn it off while she was taking phone calls.
Correct.
Meh, I don't know. Well, the other thing I was gonna say too is this girl has been through a mysterious event of some kind, and she's apparently it was bad enough that she couldn't be alone and hadn't been alone for months prior because it was too traumatizing. Okay, fine. Okay, I'm there. It's scary to be a woman. It just is. Okay, so I'm there. But tell me, like, why her parents just were like, we'll come back when we feel like it. If my child went through some traumatic freaking event to the point where they couldn't be alone, and this is their first time doing that, I'm not taking off to Hawaii for 4 months. They were like they were supposed to only be gone for, like, I forget how long it was, but even though she's experiencing weird stuff, they aren't calling and checking, they're texting and sending pictures, and they're like, "Oh, we're having a great time. Hope you out don't, you know, jump off a bridge while we're gone." Like, I just felt like the parents were a hard sell for me because they were so far removed from the situation, and they were like, "Yeah, we know you went through this horrible thing, and we don't really know if you're being like, you maybe be honest with us about how you're feeling, but we're just gonna stay longer."
But because this movie is so like leans heavily on it is open to interpretation,
Yeah.
my feeling for that was I don't think the parents cared about her at all. I
Yeah.
do think that they were involved.
I kinda thought about that too. I guess if that's the lens that we're supposed to be looking at this through, then I think maybe that could have been conveyed a little better and it would have made it seem less shitty. Because all I'm seeing are really cruel
Bad
parents.
parents.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if that it and I did think about that. I was like, "Okay, well, I guess they're involved and they're staying away so that the cult can do whatever they wanna do to this poor girl." And I can get behind the idea of that because that's how these kind of things work in plenty of other storylines about cults. Because again, this is very cookie cutter in that way, but it's like I didn't know for sure and there wasn't enough for me to make an educated guess. So I just was left feeling like they suck. Like she should just hope they never come back. She's much better off without them. That's how I felt about it because I'm just like, how I look at the parent stuff so specific sometimes, but I'm just like let me just say this. If that was my kid and they were going to stay at my house or their child at home or whatever, after this whole thing and they're doing this is the exact same situation. I'm not going to another state, another country. I'm going to a hotel down the road. And I'm 20 minutes away if you need me. Like that kind of stuff just like immediately just separates me. But to your point, they could have been involved. That could have been the whole point. But because it wasn't pushed hard enough, I don't know. I don't know if how I was supposed to feel about it. And I don't
Yeah.
know if that's a testament to the storytelling in a good way or a bad way. I don't know because I'm just kind of like, well, okay, I guess.
I will say, and I
Yep.
know I can almost guarantee this will not be the case for you, but
Yeah.
because of all this and the way we're having this conversation of there's too many open-ended questions, like there's too
Sure.
much, this does for me now become rewatchable because I want to
Yeah.
watch this a few times and see what I missed, see if
Yeah.
there's anything that I gather more from it. So
Yeah.
maybe on their end that was a smart decision because I've I saw a couple people say the same thing in reviews of like,
Mhm.
I do need to rewatch this so that I can get more information. I saw some people
Yeah.
say they got more information. I definitely am going to be one of those people to rewatch it. So maybe
Yeah.
it was the right decision to strike those types of conversation. But
Mhm.
as a first time watch,
Mhm.
that's what brought it to the just above average for me.
Yeah. And I would say that if they reshot this and they added fairies, I would rewatch it. Otherwise, otherwise, I'm out.
Fair.
Oh, yeah, this one wasn't a win for me. And I'm bummed because I'm the one that pitched this one. I was like, this looks so cool. Look at the poster. And then we watched it and I was like, dang, now we got to talk about it. I hate it. I don't enjoy not enjoying things. I'm not one of those types of people, like the contrarians of the internet. I just try to be honest, but I just feel like I just didn't get what I wanted out of this. But maybe I don't know what I wanted out of this. Maybe that's a problem too, but I just wasn't. Yeah, this one didn't land for me. So, sorry.
That's all right.
There's always next week. All right, so I guess that's going to wrap up our conversation for this episode of Found Footage Fridays. Next week we are covering Strange Frequencies. I don't remember where I watched this. What did I watch it on? Tubi?
I think it's Netflix.
Netflix. Oh, thank God. That's right, because I didn't have ads. I watched it on Netflix. You can watch it on Netflix if you want to prepare for next week's conversation. What I will say is if you like On Asylum, Haunted Asylum, there are going to be things about this movie that you have fun with. So we're curious to see where Mike and I land on it when we discuss it next week. So, if you want to check that out, it's on Netflix. Other than that, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us on this episode of Found Footage Fridays. We hope you have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy your week when you get to it. And Mike and I will see you next week.